words of Agur, the son of Yaqeh, even the prophecy. The man spake unto Ithiel, even unto Ithiel and Ukai. Surely I am more brutish than any man, and have not the understanding of a man. Neither I learn wisdom, nor have the knowledge of the holy. Who hath descended up into heaven, or descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fist? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? Every word of the I am is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in the I am. Add not thou unto the I am's words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. 2 things have I required of thee. Deny thee them not before I die. Remove far from me vanity and lies, and give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the I am? Or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of the I am in vain. Accuse not a servant unto his master, lest he curse thee and thou be found guilty. There is a generation that curseth their father and doth not bless their mother. There is a generation that are pure in their own eyes, and yet is not washed from their filthiness. There is a generation, oh how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth, and the needy from among men. The horse leash has 2 daughters, crying, give, give. There are 3 things that are never satisfied, 4 things, say not, it is enough. The grave, the barren womb, the earth that is not filled with water, and the fire that says not, it is enough. Proverbs chapter 30, verses 1 through 16. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forever. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes. We thank God for you and you. We thank God for his mercy, and we thank God for his favor. Because of his mercy, we can obtain favor. Yes, because we have confidence in our Most High, even the I am that I am. Yes, we're in the book of Esther. As you prepare, Esther chapter 9 of the book of Esther. Yes, in this day and time, yes, there is those generations that we see now. Many in the generation think they're more righteous than the generation before them. Think they have the more, should I say, ideas or clues than the generation before them. These things are folly. Very foolish of a generation to think of themselves as such. If it was not so that the generation did not have any type of clue of what they were doing, surely many of us would not be here. Now, we know that in this day and time we are faced with a transition that is happening, swift transition. The powers that has been are about gone. It takes a little time. It's not going to happen overnight. But does that make the other transition, those who come with it, better? Yes, they're righteous at this time. They're doing their thing. They're building the nations. They're traveling the world trying to get everybody to be sovereign. Whereas you have the one that is struggling, trying to protect its not sovereignty, but its dominance, which was also how their ancestors, through slavery, men stealing, and all manner of evil before the Most High toward other men, has gotten them riches, glory, and victory. But nevertheless, this man Mordecai decided he wanted to go against the children of Judah. And he had to mess around and find out that God is real. Even he digged one ditch and God put him in his own ditch that he digged for those whom he hated. And this is what's going to happen. They dug a ditch that many have fallen in, the ditch of slavery, the ditch of just at will to murder, to whatever cause of murder they would cause to those that they hated and thought that they were less than them. That same ditch, it's going to be more hollering and screaming and fear and anguish when the thing is turned back on them. They haven't even met the half yet. Although they execute this thing amongst each other, they bring and heap up even more upon themselves by the actions of those of their own nation. But we're in the 9th chapter of the book of Esther. Verse 1. Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. Now we know the month of Adar is the 12th month of the Hebrew calendar or the Israelite calendar. On the 13th day of the 13th day of the month of Adar, the 12th month. No, it's not December. That should be around March. Maybe February, between February or March, somewhere in there. That's the month of Adar. That is the 12th month. I guess they decided they're going to have their pagan day in their 12th month instead of the 12th month of the Israelite calendar. Oh well, whatever. But either way, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them and hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of King Cyrus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for fear of them fell upon all people. Because what? They prayed. They changed. They decided, since they were in captivity, we will no longer serve idols. They began to practice that which is of the laws, commandments, and statutes of the Most High, knowing that those are the words of the Most High that come from his mouth or his thought or his being unto the children of Israel. And they began to keep those things that they could keep among the heathen. And God saw fit that I want these to sacrifice before me. I want these to deliver my daily sustenance. And so he set it up to the, not he, but the Most High set it up that the children of Judah can be delivered to sacrifice once again and minister, even the Levites minister unto the I Am in the I Am sanctuary. Yes. All praises. He said the fear fell upon them. Of them fell upon of all people, and the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and officers of the king help the Jews, or should I say the Judeans, because of the fear of Mordecai the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went throughout all provinces. For this man Mordecai writes greater and greater. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and they did what they would unto those that hated them. God gave them vengeance, is what it is. Oh, my. You have to think about that, how God would. I ain't being religious. I'm being charismatic. Yes, I am. But many of you have been so pushed with fear and doubt and fear for your life. Many of these place their lives in the hands of the I am. If I should fall, I know that there is a place for me. If I should fall. But their enemies fail. They deleted their enemies because they did what the Most High. Oh, many will say, oh, that's so sadistic, that's this. No, what did they do to you? What did they do to your mother, your father, your sister, your child? What did they do to you? When God gives you this victory, when God gives you this vehement, this sadistic vengeance that will last for decades, they will fear in their rising up, and they will fear in their laying down. The fact that God is angry and He's given His children vengeance. I believe the Most High would tell them, just like He told you, Israelite, just like He told those Israelites of Judea, don't slack your hand. They're enemies. Whether they look like you or look like somebody else, they're enemies of the Most High. But no, our minds have been so conditioned to think. But their minds haven't been conditioned. They will get you on a traffic stop easy. And don't mind even if they could, they would take your children right in front of you, or take you in front of your children and then your children. These people are sadistic. And look in a braggadocious way, they will go amongst each other and brag how they did this and that. But we will not brag. We will only say we're carrying out our ancestors' wish according to as the I am has allowed us. Well, we don't know how God is going to use the Israelite in the last and evil day, and how that He would execute judgment upon the enemies of the Most High. We don't know. But we know this may be one of the ways. And the things that the enemy has will not work. You have to understand and know the word of the Most High. You really do. Do not listen to these enemies of the Most High, that even those who come on social media of your own look like you and discourage you and try to say, oh, you're doing too much and all of this. These people are fearful. It's not murder, it's obedience when it gets to that point. I'm saying this because this is the way the Bible puts it. This is how they won their victory. This is how the Judeans and even the Israelites, they executed the judgment of the Most High upon their enemies according as the Most High led them. To take back your land. Take. It ain't the fact of ask for it and go with signs and banners. No, that ain't what it is. No. Take. How by any means necessary. Now, verse 5. Thus the Judeans smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword. Whatever God gives you, they're going to fall anyway, because it will be the Most High. Doesn't matter how many guns or machine guns or whatever they have, they're going to fall. He did it then and he can do it today. And the slaughter, because these people are bent by, their minds are seared, as you would put in your New Testament saying, with a hot iron of Deuteronomy chapter 28. They're seared with pride. They're seared with bigotry. Seared with just being messed up. They're seared. And we have to be seared with the law of the Most High and a readiness to be obedient. Even it means to delete anyone that is the enemy of the Most High. Because when you delete your neighbor or your friend, or if you delete even your enemy without the Most High being in it, you are a murderer. You cannot take a life of a person by no means, unless you're in defense. And vengeance belongs unto the Most High. We ain't talking about that sweet by and by. When he tells you go, go. When he tells you come, come. When he tells you slaughter, slaughter. And some of you would even freeze if he told you to do the infants the same way they did your infants. No, you're not ready for God. You're not ready for the Most High. You're not ready. It's not hate. It's deleting the enemies of the Most High, because the people of the Most High are his inheritance. And they deleted them without any remorse. Now, verse 6, and in Shushan Palace the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men, or the Judeans slew and destroyed 500 men. And in Parashandatha and Dalphon and Eshpatha and Porata and Adalia and Aridatha, yes, and Parmesta and Arisai and Aridai and Valyesatha. These are the lands they did. The 10 sons of Haman and the sons of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Judeans, slew they. They slew their enemies. God gave them back their lands and they took them all out. All of them, not doing as their ancestors that let the Canaanites live, that were still stubborn to see the writings on the wall, to flee the land before the Israelites got there. But on the spoil laid they not their hands. In other words, you're going to take the gold, the silver, everything. It's going to go. And on that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan, the palace, were brought before the king of Persia. He didn't care, because the fact is he knew that these were enemies of the Most High, and the Most High had placed upon his heart that they should be deleted. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Judeans have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. What is the request further? And it shall be done. This man loved her so. He's saying, woman, you are a part of me now. That's what he's saying. I can put my trust in you and have peace. Whereas the Queen Vashti, who betrayed me in front of all my friends, and she put me down by not coming because I wanted to show her beauty. But now you, I know I can trust. Can a man really do that with a woman these days? I don't have to worry about laying down at night and waking up in the morning and finding you in the arms of another man. This is the king of Persia. I don't have to worry about you. If I call for you, you come. If I say stay, you stay. If I say cook, you cook, or clean, you clean. And that you do it for your own free will, because you love me. Oh, my. Isn't this a love story that God would have with his own chosen, his own people? He wants that I can trust them. See, he couldn't do that at the beginning. He couldn't trust them. He was proving them by letting some of their enemies remain in the land of Canaan. But now, Esther, representative of the Israelite, and the king of Persia, representative of the Most High, in a figurative sense. He said, let it be granted, verse 13, to the Judeans which are Shushan Palace to do tomorrow, also according to this day's decree, let Hanan's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. What if the hangings turn around and turn on your enemies? Would you be afraid to do such a thing? Or you would be so Jesus-minded that you are just docile. You have the Stockholm Syndrome. And you would turn and fight your brethren because they are doing what the mandate of the Most High says. Oh, they would remind you of your laws, but the Israelite does not obey the laws or mind the laws of the heathen. At this point, yes, we must mind the laws of the heathen until God says different. Because when God says different, and he says, stop, do this and do that, it will happen. Verse 13, then says Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews that are at Shushan Palace to do tomorrow, also according to this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. Look how much power she had with this king. She didn't have it just for selfish reasons. And he loved her, knowing that she wasn't being selfish. And the king commanded it also to be done, that the decree was given at Shushan, that they hang Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews, or the Judeans that were in Shushan, gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month of Adar. Now that was nothing but 3 days later, in the 12th month. Adar is the 12th month of the Israelite calendar, and slew 300 men at Shushan. But on the prey they laid not their hands. Talking about the animals. But on the other Judeans that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives and had rest from their enemies. When you do what God says do, you will have rest from your enemies. And slew of their foes 75,000. But they laid not their hands on the prey. See, this thing, that's why they invented the New Testament. They didn't want you to see this part. They want you to be a martyr. They want you to lay down and just die. That's what it is. Just lay down and die. Darker man, or darkest man or woman, lay down and die. Don't fight. We will bombard you. We want the easiest targets. But when that target proves difficult, watch them run. Now, the slew of their foes 70 and 75,000. Verse 17, and on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th of the same they rested. And they made it a day of feasting and gladness. The Judeans made it a day of feasting and gladness when they rested from the slaughtering of their enemies. Yes. Therefore the Jews of the villages, or the Judeans of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns, made the 14th day of the month of Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day of sending portions one to another. Now, isn't this what they say that they're supposed to do when they get you into and when they start subduing you, they're going to send gifts to one another. Did they get this from this? Or is it really true that this day is going to come? That day of troubles for the Israelite. Verse 20, and Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters to all the Judeans that were in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, both near and far, to establish among them that they should keep the 14th day of the month of Adar and the 15th day of the same year. In other words, it's a day of praise to the Most High that He has delivered, or that the Most High have delivered their enemies into their hands, because they were enemies of the Most High, because they wanted to destroy the inheritance of the Most High. This is why you love your brother as yourself. For this cause, you will not give usury, lend to your brother with usury. For this cause, yes, you will just turn the other cheek on your brother. We ain't talking about no heathen. We ain't talking about no colonizer. We ain't talking about none of that. Your brother. See how the Satans have caused you to go against one another, and you still do not understand. Even the Arabs are against you. No matter if you're a Muslim or not. They may be Muslim, but they still will delete you because they do not love their brother. They do not love their God. Many of them don't. And Christianity certainly don't love each other. But to the Israelite, regardless, no. You have no right to mistreat the inheritance of the Most High. And the 23, and the Judeans undertook to do as they begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Judeans, had devised to get. These would be like your nationalists, your whom they say your Proud Boys, they say your KKK, and all these other people. This is who Haman represents. The Agagite, the enemies of all Israelites, and devised themselves against the Israelites to destroy them, and had cast Pur, and that is the lot, to consume them and to destroy them. I use this as an allegory against what is happening today. Yes, I did. You don't like it, keep scrolling. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by the letters of his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons would be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they called these days Purim, the purge, the name of Pur. Yes. People like these need to be purged out of the earth, that have put themselves on high to be more than even the inheritance of the Most High. Yes, sometimes God gave us to their hands, but they have gone overboard. Now the purge, it's not their purge, it's you purging them. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, and of all that which they had seen concerning this matter, which had come unto them, the Judeans ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all which has joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing, and according to their appointed time every year. That God purged our enemies. In other words, they has no resilience. They have no residual thing. From the eldest to the youngest, God purged them. And that day will come again, one day. That these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, every city. And that these days of Purim, or purging, should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them that perish from their seed. Now, Persia was still in charge now. Don't forget that, though. But they still were purged. Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abihail, that's her father, Abihail, and Mordecai, which was his nephew, the Judean, wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim, of purging. Yes, it's purging. And he sent the letters unto all the Jews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Osiris with the words of peace and truth. Finally, getting rid of all these supremacist factions, regardless of what they look like, these proud boule folks, getting rid of them. Now we can have peace and truth for a season. To confirm these days in their times appointed according to Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them. And as they decreed for themselves and for their seed the manners of the fasting and their cry. When she cried out and she said, "Oh, save us," in a 3-day fast with 3 days of not eating nor water. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of the Purim, the purging. It was written in the book. Yes, victory. Your fasting and praying is not no good if there's no action following it. Your fasting and praying is no good if there's no action following it. If God is not organizing, if he's not dealing with it, he's sending the evil toward the enemy and messing with his mind and his heart. He ain't even got to do that. There are times where Israel raises up to attack their enemies, and God confused their mind till they went against one another. This is why you don't go before God. This is why you do not be hasty. This is why you watch and you pray. Yes. And you wait for the moving of the Most High upon your hearts. I ain't talking about no Holy Ghost. I ain't talking about no Holy Spirit, for the Spirit of God is holy. God is the Spirit. Not no triune, no, God has no son, he doesn't beget. As the psalmist this guy, he did not know God, he says. But this guy, he caused himself to wonder if God had a family. God is not to be brought on the level of man's understanding. And this is what has happened throughout the years, and they have beguiled you in many ways to think in terms of man when it comes to God. But his laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances, they tell of the Most High and how the Most High is as a person, a spirit person, whom there is no one that created the spirit person, but the spirit person created all things. And these things cannot replace the spirit person. Nor your Jesus, nor your Hawashai, nor your Husha, or whatever. They cannot replace, neither they can ever obtain the power of the spirit person. He gives them power for certain things, but they all still belong to him, or to the spirit person called the I am that I am. And with that, if we keep the commandments of the I am, we will have peace.